Did you know that pet owners spend over $100 billion on their pets every single year? And in today's video, we're gonna go over 5 pet-themed woodworking items that you can sell so you can get a tiny sliver of that pet market. Stick around for the last one because it's a little weird. And the first project I wanna go over are pet bunk beds. Now notice I didn't just say pet beds because I think pet beds are a saturated market and it may be hard to sell projects in that market. I want you to start kind of thinking outside the box, use some brain juices, and take it up a step further. So what is a pet bunk bed? A pet bunk bed is really just a pet bed stacked on top of each other. Sometimes they have steps leading up to the next one. So like maybe if you have 2 bulldogs that can't jump right, the bulldog goes up the steps and lays on the top bunk. You have the other bulldog on the bottom. But if some people have a cat and a dog inside, the cat can jump on the top bunk and the dog can't. And so when the cat wants to get away from the dog or the dog's playing a little too rough, right, the cat gets up there. And so they're pretty customizable because some have steps, some don't. Some, the top bed is a little bit smaller. Some, the top bed are bigger. They can be CNC cut. They can be made out of 2x4s. There's so many different options on these bunk beds. And I think you can kind of go up on the price because they're really hard to ship them. And I checked a lot of different places. There's not a lot of options out there for these pet owners. So if you want to sell locally on like Facebook Marketplace, these are going to be a really good option because you can customize them to that person's needs, make the steps. You don't have to have expensive equipment or CNCs. You can just have a saw with some 2x4s and do it. But if you do have different equipment like CNCs, you can use those CNCs to create maybe a flat pack version or a highly customizable modular version that maybe you can stack 2 or 3 bunk beds on top of each other, have it cut out the steps. There's a lot of possibilities here, and I think it is an untapped market because everybody focuses on other products, and you're gonna focus and once again, go outside the box and say, you know what? What if we make a double-decker bed? I don't know if you ever watched Lego Movie, they have the double-decker couch, right? What if you made a double-decker bed? And that's what you're gonna do, and you're gonna present that to people in this way, like, hey, you have 2 dogs inside? Let me do it this way for you. Here's how we can do the steps, and you can kind of go up on that price because it is customized to their needs for their cat and their dog or their 2 bulldogs, etc. So this is a really solid idea that I think would sell. I'm not gonna give you a price point because it can vary from $100 all the way up. I've seen people sell them for $2,000 depending on the material and your clientele. So now let's go to the second project. And the next project's gonna stay on that out-of-box thinking, and it's gonna be a cat obstacle course. And not just any cat obstacle course, wall-mounted cat obstacle courses. Now once again, that one's like coming from left field, but let me tell you what it is and why it sells. So what a wall mount cat obstacle course is are different little things that you can attach to the wall that crazy cat people buy for their, not crazy cat people in general. They can buy, put on their wall and have their cats crawl on, crawl through little bridges. How do I know about this? I used to make these for people. I used to go to a really high-end neighborhood in Houston, which is around me, and I would sell these wall mount cat obstacle courses to people. And it's kind of weird. Here's a picture of the one that I did. And it's unique in the fact that it's highly customizable. And people that have cats and have a room designed specifically for their cats to be able to afford a cat wall typically have quite a bit of money. And so you can highly customize it to their needs. Maybe you match the paint on their house. Or maybe you do it for their big cat Fido and their little cat Clifford, you know, like whatever you need to do, but you can make drawbridges, you can make little boxes, little tunnels, make a little bubble where the cat crawls in and for some reason sleeps in. You can do a little cat hammock, you know, in midair. I've seen a ton of different modifications done with this. And so what you can do and how you can sell this is you make, let's say, 10 different designs for cat obstacle courses, right? You have your drawbridge, you have your little platform right here that's a corner mounted platform that the cat can jump on and walk across. You have your tunnel, your hammock, your bubble that the cat can crawl in. So you have all these different modular things that you either make or your CNC cuts out, and you have them and you can present those to people and say like, okay, well, this is 20 bucks, this is 50 bucks, this is 100 bucks, this is 10 bucks. And they just customize it up and pretty soon they have a $1,000 wall and you charge $100 for installation or $200 for installation. Once again, you match their paint or you stain it to the likings of their trim in their house. There's so many different ways to customize this, and you target rich cat owners, and trust me, there's a lot of them out there. That one, for example, right? There's a ton of people out there that are willing to pay for this. Once again, it's out of the box thinking, and it kind of gets you away from the base of the market that's super saturated with like, cat scratch boards and stuff like that, and kind of elevates you to be unique so you can make a income from woodworking or a good side hustle. So now let's go on to the next project. And the next project is gonna be food bowl holders. Now, this market is starting to be kind of a saturated market. I think it's becoming saturated because these things are selling so well. So I'm not just gonna tell you this one design sells, make it exactly like this, because I think if you actually wanna sell these for money and make some extra income, you can't just copy somebody else's design. You need to be a little bit different. So you need to put on your thinking cap and start kind of thinking creatively on how you can do these and how you can fit a price point between $30 and $80, right? And so what I'm doing in my own shop is I'm trying to come out with a design that is adjustable so I can be different than everybody else. And then I have these little keys right here that hold everything together that's in the shape of a paw print or a bone. And I'm trying to figure out my own design. And so if you want to see this design process or how I make these, or maybe even get the file for yourself, let me know in the comments below if you want me to make a video covering how I'm going through this process in order for my shop to be able to produce these at a large scale. Let me know in the comments. So just think about how you can be uniquely different than everybody else that's already trying to do these. And I think one of the things you have to have is make them customizable, make them have the dog's name or the family name or whatever on them, and then maybe make it for really big dogs or really big food bowls, right? Or you make them really small specifically for cats, or you do some kind of a modern twist on them. Just don't be like everybody else, because you will be able to make a couple sales, but if you're looking to actually make some good side income from it, I just encourage you to put on your thinking cap and try to be a little bit different, just like I'm trying to do here with this prototype that I'm working on. Now, on to the next project. The next project's gonna be a best of both worlds type of project. It's gonna be a leash holder and a nameplate combo, because I think both are a little saturated, but when combined, I think you can have something special. So what is this nameplate leash holder combo? This is where you have the dog's names or the multiple dogs' names, and it actually can hold the leashes or the treats, etc. So it's a very simple type of project, but you can customize it a lot of different ways depending on the equipment and the materials that you have. So why do these sell and how do you make them unique? There's a couple different things you can do with this product line. You can make it very modern and sleek with nice sharp edges, real clean cut names. For the high-end dog market, you can make it very rustic and have old barnwood and stuff like that. So maybe a fence fell in your yard, an old private fence, you take the boards off of those, maybe engrave it or laser burn the name into it. You hang a little hook on there or a railroad tie, something really rustic like that. Or you can make it funny. I've seen people, they take these hooks and they put it right where the dog's butt is, right? And it looks like the tail, and that's what they hang it on. You can also add like treat holders maybe to the nameplate itself. And so now you have a nameplate, a treat holder, and a leash holder all in one, and that's gonna up the value of these products. So where would something like this sell? I think there's a couple different ways to start trying to sell these. I do think Facebook groups, certain dog lover Facebook groups, like let's say there's a pug dog lover Facebook groups, well maybe you customize your nameplates to have little pug faces on them. And that way you don't have to do every single breed of a dog. It's specifically made for pugs to hang their leash on, to have their little tiny pug treats, to put their little pug face on, right? Or you do something for, let's say, golden retrievers, and golden retriever owners like to do these, maybe they have the shedding brush on a golden retriever one because golden retrievers shed a lot. There's a lot of different ways you can kind of target it on the Facebook group or Facebook marketplace type area. I do think Etsy or your own website would sell. You just need to take very good photos and really highlight those unique aspects that make your nameplate / leash sign pretty unique. And another place I think these would sell really good at are vet clinics in your local area. And so what you do with that, you would make the vet clinic one just for them that are customized. And then when the people walk in with their animals, they need a spot to hang their leash or something like that whenever they walk into the vet office. And so they have that on the wall with the vet clinic's name. The people see it and they're like, oh my gosh, where'd you get that from? And they say, oh, Billy down the street or Susan down the street. And then it's marketing for you, and it's also nice for them to have, and they'll love to talk about you, and maybe you can get some referral business that way. So that's just some kind of different ideas that I want to get you kind of rolling in there, because there's so many different ways to sell your wood products. You just have to keep going deeper and really try to make yourself in a unique market that nobody else can capture. So now let's go on to the last project. So the last pet-themed woodworking project that sells is going to be pet urns. Now, this may seem a little weird, and you may be asking, like, Ryan, did you just say pet urns? Like, stuff for pet ashes? Yes. So my brother used to be a mortician, and I grew up on a family farm, so animals and death were kind of a thing that kind of went together in my life for quite some time. And through those two things, I found out about pet crematories and pet cremations, and pet urns are a huge thing in that market. So what is a pet urn? A pet urn is just like a regular urn. It just holds ashes from pets. And typically they're square, they have a little lid on them. Maybe you put a picture of the pet on the front or engrave it, right? They're customizable, they're square, they're small, and they sell like hotcakes because pet owners love to spend money on their pets when they're alive and quickly after their death. So why do these pet urns sell? Well, if you ever had a pet, they are part of the family. Like my pet potbelly pig Penny that lives behind the shop over here, she is my favorite thing in the world. Though I don't think I'm gonna get her cremated because I need like a tub because she's a miniature pig. But people love their pets and they spend a lot of money on them when they're alive and immediately after their death so they can remember them because they were part of the family. And so pet urns work because usually pet cremations are very, very expensive. So just adding another pet urn to that whole process is a relatively small expense for the pet owner. So how do you target places and how do you sell these pet urns? Well, one option would be just to sell it online or on a website like Etsy and stuff like that. And it's going to be a pretty good market, right? Because you're going to have pet memorial plaques and pet urns. They're going to be right beside each other. That's where you're going to post it at. And it's going to do pretty good on there. But I think the best spot to sell pet urns is directly to the pet cremation facility or to the vet clinic that actually refers that pet cremation place. So what you can do is you can go to multiple different vet clinics that offer pet cremation services, have your urn up there, right, your couple designs, and then customers will come in, they'll pick big or small, they put a picture of their dog in it, and then you are now getting referrals from the vet clinic for your pet urns. And usually you can go up on the price a little bit because whenever they're not shopping online, they're not seeing all these different price points. They just see yours, let's say it's $100 for your pet urn, but it's $500 to get, Rufus cremated. Well, like an extra $100 on top of the $500 is not a big deal. And so you get a whole bunch of different vet clinics or cremation places offering your pet urn, and then you can start selling it and start doing a business or a really, really good side hustle. Now, you may not want to start a full-time business with it, but I think it is a good, solid idea, and I know 2 different people that are making a very good income doing pet urns. Now, I know it's a little bit weird, but it does sell, and I'm just trying to spark that creativity and give you different ideas with all of these projects I talked about. So if you want extra business content, check out this video right here. And as always, guys, remember, if you ain't cutting it close, you ain't cutting it right.